Welcome to our live training session number 25, part 5. In this video, we're going to take a look at our cold start, our warm-up enrichment, as well as a couple other details in our calibration file. We're going to have a lot to cover, so let's jump into our live training session so we can get started. Welcome back to the last part of our live training session here with our turbocharged Mazda Miata. Now, in the last video, we mapped out the full throttle area of operation. So we did our fuel, we did our spark, and we did our open and closed loop boost control. So we've dialed all that in, and now we're ready to take a look at our cold starting on a separate day. So this is going to be 24 hours. The car's been sitting overnight. It's going to be warm in the garage here, about 70 degrees. However, the fuel delivery and demands that the engine are going to need is going to be completely different than a warm engine. So the main fuel table here, if we jump into our VE table, our main VE table here was tuned on a warm engine. So now we're going to have to add fuel above and beyond what we find in the table here, and that's where our compensation factors we have to go and take a look at, which is going to be our after-start enrichment on a cold engine, so the post-start enrichment, and our warm-up enrichment. Now the post-start enrichment is going to be adding that fuel for the period of time after we fired it off. Then our warm-up enrichment is going to continue to add fuel and then taper it out. So we're going to have two different things we need to take a look at. We're also going to have our cranking fuel in our prime pulse table. That's going to be how much fuel is going to be added when we're doing our cranking. So on a cold engine, we're going to find that the fuel has poor atomization. So we're going to have to add more fuel than a warm engine. We're also going to have probably a little bit more post-start enrichment. We're going to have a little bit more fuel there. And then we have our warm-up enrichment, that long-term adder. So as it's warming up, it has sufficient fuel to maintain its air fuel that it needs to run at and run properly. So in order to do this, we're going to go in here to our Tune Analyze Live tab, and we're going to jump up here into our warm-up enrichment. This is going to allow us to analyze our warm-up enrichment. So this is going to be speeding up this process of taking a look and focusing in on just the warm-up enrichment table. It's not going to be taking into account the after-start enrichment, which is going to be the post-start enrichment. It's not going to be taking into account our cranking fuel or our prime pulse table. It will only look at this long-term adder here. So what we find right now in our window, we see warm-up enrichment curve. This is going to be the current curve that we're working with. Now, when we fired up the engine yesterday, I did go in and add a little bit of fuel to the warm-up enrichment. We had some residual values in some of our tables from that previous tune that really wasn't firing up and running very well. So we kind of were dealing with that as we were going along. I did have to add some fuel, so it maintained and it idled a little bit until we got our main fuel table dialed in. Now we're going to take a further look at this. So this is our current curve that we see here. We're going to find it's based on our coolant temp, and then we have our percentage adder. It's a multiplier that we're going to be adding against our main fuel table. And we'll find once we get up to the normal operating temperatures, it's going to be zeroing out, so we're not going to have any more adder. Now, this is going to be taking a look at the theoretical difference between what the wideband's showing us and what the actual target air fuel is going to be. Now it's going to be looking at the target air fuel table, and we know our target air fuel table here, if we jump in really quick, we've established here at idle, we want our target air fuel here to be 13.5. We know that these injectors don't perform super linear. It doesn't want to run at 14.7, 15 air fuel, such as a better injector